It's Mark Husson's Astrology Hour. Time for you to expect something wonderful.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Mark Husson, and this is the Mark Husson Astrology Hour. What do you think of the new jingle? I've worked on that for a week. I hope you like it. It was kind of sad getting rid of my other jingle, but you know, that was with me for 10 years and it was time. But you know, I'm going to keep changing them because I did talk to a couple people about, I wanted different voices to announce. I didn't want such a professional sounding, radio voice. So I got more in the works. I just wanted to surprise you and welcome you to the show. I hope you guys are doing well. It is about a minute after 8 a.m. on the Pacific Coast on Monday, September. Did you let that sink in? September 4th, 2023. It's a little bit, so that would make it like 1 minute after 11 on the East Coast. So all you East Coasters, welcome to you as well. So if you're new to the show, I invite you to try to join us at the chat room on Facebook, which I'm going to right now. And it's basically just go over to this is the shortcut. Go to 12radio.com. And I'm doing this as I talk. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see a bunch of links. Just click the third one down that says chat. And you'll be brought over to the chat room where you will see the amazing Jay Varvel has put up my banner. And it is, you can see the banner, the Astrology Hour banner. And then if you even click that, if you need to, you can come into the room and see the lovely people and the list as you scroll down. Like Lynn is in the house. Hi, Lynn. Thanks so much. Always good to see you. Happy Labor Day to everybody. Norella, thank you for being here. Tiffany's in the house. Hi, Tiff. Terry Campbell's here. Terry Campbell is you can see her top contributor, it says here on Facebook, and also a top advisor at one2listen.com. I, in fact, was so excited that this weekend I got so much done in terms of a little bit. Well, it's a little bit for me, but all these little things take a while. I made a new commercial. I'm going to play for you today. I had a good talk with my staff, good talk at my staff about doing the same, like getting their voices out there and being a part of the family, like really bringing our unity in. And I think that happens in the fall. I think that happens when Venus goes direct. I think that happens in the fall. What's interesting is usually what you'll see is all the planets start going forward. You'll start seeing some of these retrogrades. Now, ironically, I say that, and Jupiter goes retrograde today. So we'll talk about that. I want to talk to you about like a little bit of the influences that are happening. I also did some extraordinary research with the help of John on the family inheritance, how we identify parents in the chart, in the birth chart. And I know you guys love to learn new things or hear the things you already know, maybe in a different way. So hopefully this will be something that contributes to that. I'm excited to be a part of it with you. I just remembered to hit record in case the show didn't start, so that we'll just lose the introduction. But it's so far it recorded last week. I think the shows on demand are happening. And so, I think I'm on it. And with Jay's help, we've been staying really connected on making sure that things work. So thank you for being a part of that as well. All right. So let me see here. Things are dinging in my ear and I want to turn them off. So I put up a chart. I sent a chart out and I hope you'll get on the mailing list. I always like you to be on the mailing list, and you may have gotten off of it. Sometimes if you simply forward an email that I send to somebody else and they unsubscribe, it will unsubscribe them as well. And you as well, I mean. And so go check out and make sure you're getting on that list. Cause I don't think it's very abusive. We send a pretty little postcard, usually 3 times a week. And then you'll get a notice when sales are happening. That's when we send them. And then also when my show is going on, I send out a postcard too. So if you did get today's chart, what you're going to see is today's a Taurus moon. Excuse me, a Taurus moon ruling the throat, by the way. And that Taurus moon is very close to Jupiter this morning. And so there's I wonder if you guys look around and feel or tune inside, if you've noticed a different kind of awareness in your physical environment, in your physical body, in your hunger, in your sense of security, in what feels good, what doesn't, maybe more insecure, maybe less, because that energy, that earthy energy, is also making a connection to the sun and Mercury in the sky. Now, the sun and Mercury is going retrograde. It met the sun last week. Wait a minute. Let me make sure of that. No, it meets the sun this week. So let me, I'm going to advance my wheel. And that's an important day. So I want to know, okay, here we go. Yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. The 6th, yes. So this Wednesday, the sun and Mercury come together. Now, they're at 15, Mercury's at 15 degrees of Virgo. The sun is at 11 Virgo. So you can do the math. That's not that complicated. 15 and 11 is what, 4? So they're 4 degrees apart. And the Mercury's moving toward the sun and the sun's moving toward Mercury. So they're both moving toward each other. And when they reach 13 degrees on Wednesday, they will be conjunct. They will be together in the sky. Now, that has a bunch of terms. I think in Vedic astrology, it's considered a combustible Mercury, or it's not sometimes it's not seen as a positive omen. In Western astrology, the tropical astrology that I use, it is extremely positive. So what's happening is Mercury and the sun are together while Mercury's going backwards. This is called the inferior conjunction. It might be superior. Don't worry about the words, but when Mercury's retrograde and they conjunct, I'm pretty sure it's an inferior conjunction. And that means that it changes the spin of how we see the world. So if you guys are the type that dread Mercury retrograde, and I don't dread it. I mean, in my soul, I don't dread it. I don't even worry about it anymore. I don't even think about it when I buy something. I don't think about it when I plan any sort of dental appointment or anything. So, but I know you do, and that's okay, because I still hear it. I hear it from the closest people to me. Some of the people who work for me the closest, their fear of it. And it's okay. And we love to blame things, which is why I'm going to talk about this parental thing, because we have to really get in touch with how we blame. Blame is a powerful tool. And it's really convincing too. So we're going to get into that. But anyway, when they meet on Wednesday, we go into what's called the Promethean cycle. We go into a cycle where we are now allowed to look ahead of the future. It's the Epimethean cycle before that, where we look in the past and we try to resolve issues of the past during the retrograde. And now, while it is still retrograde, it's hitting the sun and telling you we're on the last leg of it. Okay. And so, but it's also saying that you might feel, if you felt restricted, if you felt stuck, if you felt sort of like focused on the past or focused on a mistake or focused on a problem, you're going to get a chance to undo that. During this cycle. You don't have to wait for Mercury to go retrograde to live your life. You all know I know that. I mean, I believe that. Okay, so now not only do they meet at that degree, 13 degrees of Virgo, so wherever that is in your chart, that's a power point. That's where insight, recognition, all kinds of things can happen there. It's also right now very making a delicious trine to Jupiter. And today to the moon. So we're seeing this cooperation and this collaboration of the earthy planets, and wherever they land in your chart, you're going to see the ability to manifest a lot easier. Like if you put your will to something, Now, we have a lot of Virgos that visit the show. Tiffany's one of them. Karen's another one. I know some, I know there's a lot more. You guys have birthdays coming up, so let me just give you a collective happy birthday. I hope you'll let me know if it happens to be on the show, but I know your time is coming close. And I definitely want you all to feel welcomed. I love that you're here. I love the support you give just by showing up. Sometimes it's pretty amazing. We also have Pamela Snow's in the house. Truly McKay is here. Denise, thank you so much for being here. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. She said, I love hearing you today. Joanne, thank you. Good morning. She's in Santa Fe. Thank you so much. Alicia, thank you. And Nancy's in the house. Oh, I like that moon, truly. Jamie Queso's here. Hi, Jamie. Jamie's another advisor at 1-2. We've known Jamie for oh my God, it's over 15 years, and really big with working with Reiki energy, working with trauma. She's an advisor at 1-2. Listen, I've always appreciated Jamie. These people become like family after a while, and I almost hesitate to say that because sometimes that's an insult. Like, you're like family. You're like my family. And I do want to use that as an opportunity to segue into some of this dialogue about what's happening, how we look at family in the chart. So let me just complete this thought about Venus now stuck at 12 degrees Leo. An interesting thing for me, a couple of very important things got resolved the moment Venus went direct. Not emotional things, it was like technical things. And I love that. I love that. And I don't think that way. Like I would have said last week, well, when Venus goes direct, it'll all work out. I hate that kind of thinking, right? I mean, how supportive is that? If you're in any sort of emotional pain and someone comes to you in emotional pain and you go, give it a week. Oh my God. Okay. So that's why I'm such a fanatic about how you address astrology and how you really look at it, and your continuation to insist that these things bring misfortune or bad luck or bad energy is an unfortunate miscalculation on your part. It doesn't serve anyone to think that they're that they're under the influence of some bad energy that they have to pass through, that they have to wait. Okay. So Venus is at 12, and I want you to get in the habit, if you can, if you have a wheel, if you have your chart wheel, I would like you to get in the habit of using it to look at it, to understand the pieces of pie that are in there. Now, if you don't know your time of birth, you still can play, because what we do and what I suggest you do is simply get a chart that's run for the sun sign to be on the ascendant, on the rising sign. So they're one and the same. And that's a very powerful chart. It's called a solar chart. And it's a very powerful mechanism for people who do not have their time of birth, because there's a lot in there that is extraordinarily accurate. Even the fact that you don't have your time of birth or unable to get it is part of a history that you came in with. So all of it works. So if you have a chart, I want you to get in the habit, like these pieces of pie, these slices of pie. We use the Koch house system, Koch. A lot of people use Placidus. And again, it's another point of division among astrologers. Like, nothing changes on the main line of between using how you divide space up. That's what the house system means. How am I going to divide space? Well, we have found over the years that using the system we use is really good for prediction. And some people think that using the other one, Placidus, is good for the psychology of the chart. I just use Koch because all those little lines become like guitar strings. They actually strum. They actually feel accurate, and use whatever you're comfortable with. We have a lot of people who still use Placidus, and because that's an ancient system, and so is astrology. So it doesn't matter. The rising sign will stay the same on both house systems, as will the top of the chart and the bottom of the chart. The midheaven is the top of the chart. The nadir is the bottom of the chart. Okay. If you get in the habit of looking at those numbers and sort of putting them into memory, like what your rising sign is, that's the 9 o'clock outside position. And the chart that I sent, it like right now would say 19. It says 19 Virgo, that M. The difference between Virgo and Scorpio, the Virgo M looks like it has like a third arm that tucks in, Virgo the Virgin. And Scorpio looks like it has a tail that sticks out. Okay, and that's Scorpio, the scorpion. So that's how you tell the difference. So notice what your rising sign is. Notice what the 10th house, the very top, and I'll do it by clock. The 9 o'clock position is your rising sign. The noon position is your 10th house. And the 6 o'clock position exactly opposite that is and it should make a cross. If you do your houses where they're not these proportionate houses where they actually show the size, because those charts are just so hard to read. You make everything even and make the numbers accurate. But this is the chart I sent out has 18 at the midheaven and 18 at the nadir, Sag. And then the 7th house or the 3 o'clock position. So we're making a cross, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And then I'll save that. That's for the geeks. That's for the people who have their charts. Those of you listening who just want to enjoy a little bit of information about the psychology of the chart, just sit back and enjoy. You don't have to worry about this, but I want to get into this with you. And this will be several weeks, I think, that we're going to take to really understand the parental axis. The parental axis. Who are your parents? And who are they is a really interesting question, because who they are to you is not necessarily who they are. Okay? So I want to read this thing about family inheritance. You all have encouraged me that it's okay to read small excerpts as long as they're not too boring. This is from a woman named Juliet Sharman Burke. It's called Family Inheritance. This is just what she says. In other words, one has to actually accept that, like it or not, fair or not, desirable or not, one's family has passed on all these difficulties and even behavioral patterns. It is not as easy as just saying, oh, well, I won't have anything to do with my parents or family. I'll just cut them off and fly to the other end of the earth. You take them with you internally, and until you can actually separate from them inside, you can't really be free from them. In order to separate, you must first accept the fact that you are joined. If you pretend you are not joined, not part of them, and hope that by physically moving away or cutting them out, you will get free, you will probably be disappointed to find them still in there. Okay. So the idea is we carry a parental pattern that's literally locked in. And it has nothing to do with it has very little to do with who they are in their personal reality, because, like we said, you're going to have a sibling that sees your parent that you're having trouble with, or both parents that may have a completely different version of childhood than you did. I know it's true for me. My sisters had a completely different history with a father who took them camping and took them away for 6 weeks to a camp and left me with crazy lady. And we pretend it didn't have an impact, and it does. And it takes work to know what the projections are that's going on, to see what they are. And the chart is a brilliant display of where you can identify what's happening in your nervous system that you inherited from your parents. Now, there's a story she tells in here from a very famous book that she quotes, and I'm not going to read it, but I'll just summarize it. A woman is having an affair, finds out she's pregnant, doesn't want to tell her husband, doesn't want the lover to know. So she was going to leave her husband until she found out she was pregnant. And then she said, no, I can't. I have to go back to the house. And she had the baby. The daughter, and she gave up the lover, and she had the baby. So nobody knew anything except this little girl. that she had started growing up with intense separation anxiety, fear of being left behind, fear that she didn't know she couldn't go into new buildings. She couldn't, anytime the parents left, she'd have this crippling effect. And she was her mom's favorite. It wasn't like she was, cast aside and resented. The mom really really paid attention to her. As they got into it with work with an astrologer, a psychiatric astrologer, actually, the mother came to terms with the idea that she remembered that she was about to abandon the house when she found out she was pregnant. And they traced all of those feelings that the mother had to the daughter. Now, here's the interesting twist. As the mother came to reconcile those feelings within her, the daughter got better. So it was an interesting study. It's a study of the tie that we have with parents. It's a study, so much got reinforced in there. And I think the parental thing is way, way bigger than we like to think. And so those of us that are struggling, and that's when I said earlier about blame, we can blame them. We can blame them until we exit the earth. And it doesn't take away it doesn't add to our health, our well-being, and it doesn't take away the pain. So it's an invitation. And the why we look at the chart, why we look at parents in the chart, is we look at them for what is the thing in me that I am avoiding in myself? What am I putting out on them that I'm avoiding within myself? Now, so it's very important that you understand how to read those lines in the pizza pie if you want to understand it this way. But the other most important thing about it is in that 10th house at the very top of the chart, and it's the pizza pie that it would be in the space between 11 and 12, right? So that space in between the number 11 and 12 on the clock, that space that leans a little to the left, like and it stops at the very top at 12, that piece of pie is the house of the mother. Traditional astrologers don't like that. Psychological astrologers, Liz Green sort of pioneered this idea that psychological astrologers like to think of that as the house of the father. It's the Capricorn house. It's the 10th house, the 10th sign, Capricorn, the father time, the taskmaster. But actually, the 10th house is your socialization. It's how you get prepared to go out in the world. And Liz, after doing years of research and study, really felt that it was the mom who was the most obvious parent that shaped their child and for readiness to the world, who paid attention to the little details that the child needed to be successful in the world, just as on a social level. Where dads tend to play a more hidden role. They're off to work, maybe doing sports, maybe engaged, but more a subtle shift in. And this is in traditional relationships. I know things change, but this is like the earth wobbles and it changes, right? But we still believe in this collective mentality that gets handed down. So we're still holding the idea that the father shapes it in a different way, more private, more silent. We definitely associate the power of the mother. And that's why the 10th house gets the mother and the 4th house gets the father. And if you stay with it, it'll blow you away. Because I have yet in my over 30 years of doing this, seen a chart that did not identify mom in the 10th. And this, again, is the propensity of the child to see the lens which they see their parent. This is not... So, as an example, somebody might have Saturn in their mother house and they see their mom as cold and hardworking and sort of like all business, like just kind of tough, right? Could have a brother or a sister that has Jupiter there and saw the mom as the most important, expansive thing that they've ever had in their life. So what is it? Was the mom really mean to the one and nice to the other? Or did the one that had Saturn there just confirm already a propensity to see your mom that way. So all the nice things just didn't register. It was when mom was mean that you go, oh, see, I knew it, kind of thing, energetically. So we say it's a propensity at which to project that energy onto the world. Now, I want you to think for a minute about times when you're stressing out. So two things happen. I want you to think about the relationship your parents had with each other, including if you only had one parent. Okay? Because there's a dialogue, a dual dialogue that exists within us that is comprised of a mother and a father. And this is what, if I could call it anything, I would call it the replacement theory. Replacement therapy is to eventually recognize the deep and profound nature of these voices and change them out, replace them over time. It's not easy because we are carrying the sins of the parents, okay? Whatever the sin gets defined in by our chart. So, for example, my dad was aloof. I have Leo in the, I have Aquarius in the fourth house. He was that's how I saw dad, aloof, could cut you off. Like I was sort of the inconvenience. This isn't about sympathy, and this isn't about like, oh, poor thing. I'm done with all that, right? I'm telling you the experience of the child. Mark saw his dad as like, I was indifferent. I didn't mean anything. That's how it was interpreted. Okay. Now that's Aquarius on the fourth. I had Pluto at the top of the chart in Leo with my mom. So she was the powerhouse and she was the terrifying one, right? But they fought constantly. They had a kind of power thing. She would scream and rage, and his job was just to settle her down. And then he would continue to do whatever the hell he was doing, like go to the Masons. And she hated that he went to the Masons, and she hated that he did anything outside that family, left her alone. And they'd scream it out. He'd do it anyway. He'd come back. They'd scream it out. Okay. Now let's move to this, me having that thing exist within me. And what happens in times when I am struggling with an issue? Okay, what I've noticed is I'm suddenly stuck with shame, guilt, and fear. And forever to find the voice that said, Mark, it's okay, I'm here for you, was a revelation, which is why my slant with you guys is always about the inner child, making sure not to abandon that inner child. Well, if you looked at my chart and saw Aquarius there, you'd understand why that to me makes a lot of sense to give to you as good advice. So in times when things were really heavy, what I would find is I would be in complete anxiety, and I'd be worried about A, what the world thought, B, if I was going to be overpowered because I had such an authority issue. And all of it, the Pluto projection on my mom and the Aquarius projection of my dad. And I'll tell you, coming to terms with that, where I realized, see, what happens is if I lived my life blaming them, and I lived most of my life blaming them, if dad could have only just given me, he was a counselor, he was a high school counselor, he was a mathematician, like a brilliant mathematician, really, I can't do math. Serious. And I would say, if only he could have given me a little guidance, if only I could have gone into finance, if only I could have understood business, just a tiny bit of direction. And then I realized that by painting that onto him, was denying my own rebellion against those very things. I was blaming him for not giving me the ability or the direction of what to do in college. So, I became a psych major. What else was I going to be? And I started in organic chemistry, and I dropped out, and I was just rebelling against everybody. I was rebelling and especially the male teachers who wouldn't see me or couldn't see me. I mean, it was running a pattern so thick that when you see it from out here, it was so easy to blame the devouring mother. When from out here, you see that it was the abandoning father. That you can get from a chart. So, And that's my point. Not to, didn't want to give you a whole, round 50 of my life. It was to see that Leo at the top of the chart was my mom, the demanding, devouring narcissist for real. And then the ruler at the bottom, the ruler Aquarius, was the abandoning father, the one who just was, the message was, not here for you, dude. And so what happened was anytime I wasn't there for myself, I blamed him. Now, can you see how not blaming him and claiming the part of me that didn't want anyone to hold for him, that wanted to find his own unique path, but I didn't want to take responsibility for that. I'm a Sun-Uranus conjunction. I want to be an Aquarian, but I was stuck with the idea of what it looked like, that I would look like him, all these things, but never wanting to take responsibility for it, just like the devouring mom. Like to be that powerful, to be that mean, to be that angry, to be that addicted. And like all the things that it prevented me from doing emotionally and blaming her. But then seeing that the part of me that is devouring, the part of me that could be like owning the shadow in a way where you have to, by evidence, look at what the hell you're doing. If that is our path, that is one of many paths, but that is a big path to freedom. It's looking at how you took it in, projected it back out, took on their sins. Like you took on like everything. Mom being the dumb one of the family. She wasn't, she was brilliant, but there were 9 children, right? And so she was the hated one. She was tough. God, she was tough. Virgo with an Aries moon, and she wanted things her way, and she would fearlessly go after you for not doing it her way or whatever. I mean, the humiliation moments are, even when she came out, oh my God, it was, 20 years ago, but I was a grown man. I was like 50 and close to 50, and we go shopping, and all of a sudden there's a big announcement. Will Mark Husson please come to the women's lingerie department? I was sitting outside the door of where, the lingerie, it wasn't lingerie, it was Nordstrom's or something like that. And I was outside in the mall, the hallway, just sitting, waiting for her because she wanted to shop, and, let her do what she does. All of a sudden, a big announcement. And I was like, what? I came in and I said, is everything okay? And the woman goes, oh, your mother just wanted us to page you. She's still in there trying on clothes. Oh my God. Okay. So the humiliation, the yelling for you, like I grew up with this horrible fear of people speaking loudly after I left home, because you'd hear her, no matter where she was, she'd have her head down and she'd just scream for you, no matter where you were. And you have to, run and like, what are you doing? Like, quit embarrassing me. So all of that power, first of all, you have to take on, and then you have to own it. And then you have an opportunity to replace it, to replace the voices, to replace the way you were supported. So what I wanted to do with you guys, and I should check in on you and see if I've lost you, probably lost you. No, you guys are great. But I get a little too lost. So I want to make sure I can find my way back to you. Let's see how we're doing. Okay. Yeah, we're here. And I'm hitting refresh so I can just see how you beautiful people are. All right. There we go. All right. To the bottom. Jennifer's in the house. Hi, Jennifer. It's good to have you here. Lynn is an astrology geek. She really is. Lynn, you're so good. Hi, Mark, Jay. All just started listening. What a trip. I have Capricorn in the 10th at the top of my chart. My mom was a single mom, very workaholic and ambitious. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Lynn. I so appreciate you. Okay. So, and I know that was Rebecca. I just went on and read that other note. So the parental thing is very much like the Mercury retrograde thing and the Venus thing and any retrograde planet thing. This unwillingness on our part, and who wants it? Who wants to see a shadow? Who wants to see that you might be the very thing that you're hating on? Right? Nobody wants that. It's not, but But you can't, you can't unconnect from it if you don't know you're connected. It's one of the most important things you can do for yourself is take that deep, long breath and sort of see, oh God, I am him. Or I'm seeking him, whatever, but not the him. I'm not seeking my father. I'm seeking the projection that Mark had on his dad. I am avoiding that, running from that, or seeking toward it, or looking for people who are that, whatever it might be. But it's not him. You know, that man was adored. Now that's a good example of, if I told you my story, who he was, and you met him, you might go, oh, you were the one mean to Mark. And God bless you for that. That'd be very sweet, but I would hate it. No. And then if you saw his funeral, like everybody thought my asshole uncle, and I'm serious about this, that he was the one that funerals, when he dies, they're going to line around the block for him. 5 people came. He was an asshole. But Ernie, it was amazing. I mean, it was amazing, the people that came out for his funeral. And I didn't anticipate it at all. So I'm sitting there in my, I mean, it was, I've told this story a million times, so I'm not going to tell you again, but it was painful because I stood there looking the worst I've ever looked. And my whole high school, everyone from every high school, because he was the principal, but they loved him. And then he was working when he was in his 80s, helping kids with math, underprivileged kids or kids that were having trouble. That was his life, his dedication. They loved him. And that's a great example. If you saw him through my eyes, you'd see what I saw. But if you saw him through the eyes of these people, oh my God. So what's the truth? The truth is that I have my experience. I have my projection. I have my responsibility to use what's in front of me, my parents, my siblings, everybody, to come into my own integration of who I am. And do you understand why then it might be important to settle down your judgments just a little bit? Because we have judgments and we're never going to get rid of them. Let me put that out there first. But can you see why, if you are gaining weight and you have done nothing but rag on how fat people look, and now you're gaining weight, like what trauma you have to deal with? Do you get it? So the blame thing is so important to get a hold of. It's so important because we think we know who we are. We don't know that we are a package of inheritance. A lot of us don't. And those of you that had great parents, great upbringings, it's not as traumatic for you. Absolutely not. Like, in other words, if you have the sun in the 10th house or the 4th, and I know a lot of you here do, that I used to say you're the apple of your parents' eye, and you are. But often that is saying that your parents injected their dreams into your identity. And you may never know that. You may never know that your desire to be a great ballerina or, ballerina for male and female, I don't know, whatever. To be a great one was the lost dream of your parent, of your mom or your dad. You may never know. You may think, I'm a musician like my dad. I'm a doctor like my dad. I'm a doctor like my mom. I'm a surgeon. I'm a whatever. And you may think that just runs in the family, but do you see how many people do follow the footsteps of, like, so many doctors have doctors as children? So many musicians have musicians as children. You think that's just genetic, the DNA? You think it's just a DNA thing? I don't. I think it's a literally psychological thing that happens when we come in. You have to imagine your mother and the importance of this being and these big beings. They talk a lot in the book about how our parents can kill us. And if you think about it, if you're doing a reading for somebody now, and I say, your mom, she was tough, they might go, the person might have a knee-jerk reaction and go, but she's very sweet, though. She did it. Because this thing inside of us, especially the less resolved it is, that they can still kill us. They can still hurt us. And think about it. Who are the biggest people? Who are the giants who decide if you live or die? This is nothing small to find out who your parents are, to realize what you developed under. And the giant part here is when you do embrace it, you can release it. You get to change it. But if you're blaming still, if you're still blaming, you can be angry at them. They maybe did something that they deserve a lot of your rage and hurt and pain. That's no problem. I don't care about that. But if they're the reason that you can never be happy, if they're the thing, and if anybody is that thing, then you're stuck. You're joined until you can reclaim all those little components, and you can do it through astrology. Okay, I'm going to check in on you. Okay, I think we're okay. Yeah, I think we're really okay. Okay, thank you, Terry. I'm glad you're appreciating it. So, the way we do this is you first want to get the rulers of your 10th and your 4th, the rulers. Now that means the sign that rules them. So I told you I had Leo, Aquarius. You're going to have two opposites. They're going to be exactly opposite no matter what you tell me. If you have Gemini, you will have Sag on the bottom of that chart. If you have Aries, at the top, you will have Libra at the bottom. Period. Case closed. As above, so below in astrology, that chart will be identical, top and bottom, in its opposite. That's number one. So we want to talk about the axis between what is the Aries mom with the Libra dad and the Libra dad with the Libra mom, Aries dad. So, and that's why this has to be several weeks in the making. So we can have other things we talk about and interject in this sort of understanding, because not only does the sign on the house cusp paint the window through which you will be looking at your parents, planets in there drive it home. It is insane. Planets will definitely so the sign on the outside sets the stage lighting, right? The sign on the outside tells, do I see my mom as a Taurus and my dad as a Scorpio? And what does that mean? It means the tone and condition of the place. Was mom the nurturer and dad hidden? And if it was Gemini, was my mom the talker and my dad the exciting one, the one who left? Was my mom the Cancer and my dad the Capricorn, or was my mom the Capricorn, my dad the Cancer? And it's not Cancer generally. It's the Cancer meaning, did he move from side to side? Did he hide things emotionally from me? Was he never direct, moody, or vice versa? Was mom? And that's the tone. So I'll go through them. We'll go through them today. Yeah, we have 10 more minutes. We're good. That's why I want to see how you guys are doing. I want to check on you whenever I'm teaching like this to make sure that you guys aren't falling off the enjoyment bandwagon. Okay. Okay, my sun in Pisces. Okay, so this is Alicia. Pamela, thank you, honey. That's so sweet. My sun is in the 10th house, Capricorn. I never realized how much like my father, Capricorn, I am, only in retrospect, physically and mentally. I'm going to have to re-listen. My sun Pisces is in my 10th house. Okay, my sun. So Pisces must be your 10th house ruler if your sun in Pisces is up there. 10th house, you're saying, is kind of the Capricornian energy. But for lack of confusion, you have Pisces at the top of your chart with your mom. And you're saying you're a lot like your dad, but do you see how your mom, if your sun is in the 10th house, you're the apple of your mother's eye, you become what she needs you to be? And and perhaps you became the surrogate husband or you became the Capricorn because you're tie into her. But that chart, Alicia, if your time is right, that chart is an undeniable connection to mom. As long as Pisces is the ruler. Now, it could be Aquarius is ruling that 10th house, which would make her way more distant. And the sun in Pisces is in there, which would make you still connected. But the ruler is going to matter. Okay, not to confuse everybody. So let's go through them a little bit, just really briefly and lightly. If you can look at the 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock positions of your birth chart. At the 12 o'clock position, if you have Aries, and at the 6 o'clock, you'll have Libra. There's no question. Or reverse them. You'll have Libra at the top and Aries at the bottom. This is going to be, wherever the Aries is going to be the independent one. Okay. We're doing this very lightly, because if I were reading your chart, I'd look at the ruler of Aries, like where your Mars is and what that does, because that'll break it down even more. So if you can do that on your own, do it. But otherwise, we're talking about a household that could have been filled with anger, where anger was used and competition was used. And depending on who it was, father or mother, or Libra, the peacekeeper, wanted the world not to know all the stuff that was going on in the family. Everything had to be pretty nice. I always give the example of the screaming parent, and then the phone rings. They're like, hello. But they're right before that, pretty vicious. Okay, so we'll talk about, that's just a setup. So then Taurus and Scorpio, wherever the Scorpio is, there's secrets usually involved there, especially if it's in the father's house at the bottom. And wherever Taurus is usually considered to be more stable, more nurturing. Now that will all depend, because remember, Hitler was a Taurus. It all depends on the rulers, but I'm just setting the tone so you can look at it for yourself. Gemini, Sag, there's going to be open communication, a desire for communication, and usually wherever the Sag is, somebody left. I'm just saying that because that's the wanderer. So just see it for yourself. We're just talking general details now. Okay, please. General. I can't even tell you how general this is, but it's important for you to have your eye adjust to how we're doing this. Cancer, Capricorn. One's nurturing, one's authoritative, typically. One's a provider, and one could, now the negative part of each sign could exist too. Like I said, where Cancer doesn't tell the truth or sways from side to side to read you first, or very moody. Okay. And Capricorn can be very providing and very, supportive. So, just setting the tone. All right. And then if you go to Leo and Aquarius, that was the one I told you about. With wherever Aquarius is, at distance, it seems like the person's active, all the lights are on, but to the experience of the child, nobody's home. The opposite of that is Leo. Typically, we'll see narcissism. We'll see the person who needs to be the center focus of the family. And as we turn the dial then to Virgo and Pisces, you will, if Pisces is at the top of the chart, ruler of the 10th, you will see connection to mom, unbelievable connection to mom. Also in Pisces, you have to look at possibly drug abuse or addiction if it was either parent, but those are all included in that. And the Virgo one is pretty obvious. That could be the loner parent, the intellectual parent, the parent who took care of everything, but was, not very nice, often very critical. So just like I said, brushing over them very lightly, and that's the game plan. So hold on, I'm gonna check your messages. I have Cancer in the 4th, Venus in Cancer there. Okay, there you go. Dad moved away when I was young, but was very supportive in my artistic dreams. Mom wasn't. So mom was the Capricorn. And your dad, Venus there? Absolutely. So that is like a appreciation there with the Venus says, yeah, you're going to be the apple of his eye. You would be like the sun being there, but you have to check out your dreams and notice that how you are an artist, and the resentment of your mom. We will check out Saturn for you to see where Saturn is and how you can pull those things together. Now, remember how they treated each other. He left but stayed supported. When you're in a terrible situation with yourself, when you're ruminating because something isn't right or your feelings got hurt, see what voices appear. Like, is it your mom going, snap out of it, da 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 da, or is it your dad going, everything's going to be all right? But that's going to be a key to how you've got to bring their energies home to you, and then really look at how you're treating yourself, because we've set them up in a way. We've set them up to be seen in a certain light, and it's through the lens of our chart. So we're seeing them through our light. Don't necessarily know if that's who they are or not. It doesn't matter. It's the parts of you that you're trying to reclaim, and you are both of those parts. Okay. Lynn, it is another great way to help rectify your chart, especially if there's some specific parental things going on. That's true. That's really true, especially for people who don't know their times. All right, let's see here. I do have to, okay. Can I play you a commercial? I'm going to play you my commercial real quick. But I'm coming back. So I'm pressing a button and it'll be on. Hang on. Hi, it's Mark Husson. It's been a while. I guess life's to-do list could no longer be ignored. I mean, it seems funny that way, that no matter how airtight our plans are, there's always something that can take us off course. One thing I know is that accomplishing the things that we have to do is a lot less difficult when we have someone to walk with us. And that's exactly why I created one2listen.com. It's real people with real gifts that know how to be with you when being alone is just too painful. So remember, day or night, 24/7, there is someone that can be with you by chat, video, or phone at one2listen.com. It's the number 12listen.com. We will be there when you need us. Yes, we will. How was that? Wasn't that fun? So I'm trying to really promote and to support the advisors that want to listen, because I don't think people really understand. I've always underplayed it. I've always been embarrassed to, not embarrassed. I hate to be a salesperson in the middle of being a teacher. But if you do need someone to talk to, these people literally have been screened, every single one of them. And they're pretty remarkable. So that's at One2Listen. Thank you for listening to that with me. I love how it came out, and I want to do more of those. We're going to do a bunch more commercials here for everyone at One2 Radio. Let's look at the week ahead real quick. And I want to, we are having a sale today, by the way. I want to make sure you know that at One2Listen. We reduce all the prices, and the security is insane. We've never had a security breach, and we've never had anybody's money taken from them. I mean, pretty remarkable. Okay, so today, as we look at the chart, I want you to understand the week ahead a little bit, and Mark's power peak. What was the password? Shoot, you got it if you're on the email list. I was going to just say it to you so you didn't have to look it up, but I can find it. Let me just do the week ahead with you, because CA did some pretty powerful writing this week for the Power Peak, and that's why I want you guys to check it out. And here it is. I'm sure one of you know it. I just write myself way too much. I have so much email. Okay, well, it's all right. Let me just write Power Peak here and see if I can find it that way. God, I hate this part. There we go. Here it is. It's happy. HAPPY. All right. So all lowercase, just you get over to markhusson.com. That'll work. You can go to Mark's Power Peak, and peak is with 2 E's, and you type in happy, and it takes you to where all the writing from Mo, Gracie's there, Kelly Whetstone writes. I mean, these articles are amazing. Ginger writes, and then CA, of course, writes her novels of the days ahead. And so today, Labor Day, Jupiter is retrograde right now. So it's stopped. All Sages, everyone who's a Sagittarius is feeling it. Okay. It's like there's a part where it's like, wait a minute, do I have to stop moving forward? Do I pause and take a look at this? That is the effect of having your ruling planet move backwards. It's just a day. It can feel wonky. That's all. It can also feel really good. You might finally stop and feel some clarity. But you guys for the next few months are going to be doing your own personal retrograde journey. It's not just look inside. It's take a minute before you leap. It's like, just make sure that under you, when you're leaping, that you can actually leap that far, that everything makes sense. It's not a cautionary tale. It's more of a reflective tale that is going to bring you a lot of gifts. So then we enter into our Gemini world tomorrow. So I want you to notice it's not going to be till the afternoon, but the moon's changing signs that day. So that means a big void of course moon. Check it out from 9:45 in the morning until 1 Pacific time. That's a big void of course moon, enough for you to see if you like them or not, because we have a lot of void of course moon lovers here. Bless your hearts. I am not one of them, even though I'm fine with them as long as I don't want to do anything. Okay, the moon in Gemini on Wednesday the 6th, and also the Sun Mercury conjunction that day. That's the combustible Mercury day. That's the end of the backwards motion of Mercury energetically. Okay, from that moment on, I think you'll feel your head is turning in a different direction, feeling a lot better. An afternoon and evening void of course moon as the moon slips into Cancer. So for the weekend, you're going to have the Cancer moon energy. And I'm telling you, that energy can be really powerful, but it can also mood the hell out of you. Okay. So want to make sure that you are in a, noticing your moods. Keep an eye on that. Just keep an eye at what you're feeling and then track it. Where did it come from? Why am I feeling this? And that gets us into next week, which this show next week will be in Leo. We're in our fixed sign shows, which is so fun because it does help me stay focused. All right, so Christina LaFrance is coming up. I've definitely gone over my time. I'm so sorry for that. Listen, you guys, I so appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. Thanks for taking the time. Stay tuned for the amazing Christina LaFrance. I'll be here same time next week. Will you? Please do. Have a beautiful week, you guys.